Hello, fifth graders. Today we are going to learn about something called Earth's spheres. And so you've heard the word sphere before in math class, meaning like a circle, like a three-dimensional circle, a sphere. But we use the word sphere, and you have heard of it. It's part of the word atmosphere. And we've been learning about the Earth's hydrosphere, about all the water on Earth. So that word sphere shows up in those words. So today we're going to learn about the four spheres that make up the Earth. So you can think of the Earth as a whole, and then it has a system of some parts that interact with each other. And so the Earth is divided into four spheres, and those spheres interact with each other and overlap and depend upon each other. So the first sphere is called the atmosphere, and that's basically the air. The biosphere is all the living things, the plants and the animals. And I'm sure you can already think about some ways that those two things interact, because without air, plants and animals wouldn't exist. Plants rely on the carbon dioxide in air, and animals rely on the oxygen in air. Then we have the geosphere, which is the rocks in the soil. And then we have the hydrosphere, which we've been learning about, which is all the water and the ice. And these four interact with each other on Earth. And that's what we're going to learn more about today. So first thing we're going to do today is you guys are going to take notes. And this is something you'll do a lot in sixth grade, and you probably have been doing in fifth grade. So what I want you to do is to pause this video and get a piece of paper and a pencil. And then when you're ready, come back and press play. All right, so everybody should have their piece of paper. What I want you to do with the paper is you're going to fold it. So you're going to fold it like this first, and then you're going to open it up, and you're going to fold it like this so that you have four sections. So your paper should look like this. Then you're going to label each section with one of the spheres. So you can see how I wrote geosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. All right, so pause the video and go ahead and fold your paper into four sections and write one of the spheres in each of those sections. When you're ready to move on, press play. Okay, so what is going to happen next is I'm going to read the next chapter of your book, Waterworks, out loud to you. And as I read, I want you to write down VIPs for each of these sections. VIPs stand for very important parts of that sphere. So when you hear what's called a component or a part of the sphere, I want you just to make a list to record important parts or important components of each of those spheres. For example, you probably already know some important parts of the hydrosphere. What is one very important part of the hydrosphere you think I might talk about? I bet you said water. That's what we've been learning about. So under hydrosphere, an important component, a very important part would be water. And so you could put a little bullet and write the word water there. As I read the article, you're going to hear different parts of each of these spheres. Feel free, like if you need time to write, you can always pause the video, and you can rewind the video, and you can play the video, and as you write, and you're going to come up with lists for each of those spheres. All right, so next, let's do our reading about the four spheres. Four spheres. The first sphere we're going to talk about is the geosphere. Top 10 reasons the geosphere rocks. The geosphere is the rocks, minerals, and land on Earth. The largest boulders down to the smallest grains of sand are parts of the geosphere. 9. The geosphere includes a lot of parts of the Earth we can't see, such as the solid rock on the ocean floor. The ocean floor is not flat, but has ridges and trenches. Ridges are underwater mountains, and trenches are underwater valleys. The tallest mountain on Earth is not as tall as the deepest ocean trench. The geosphere, 8, the geosphere goes deeper than the dry rock on Earth's surface. Hot liquid rock is below the surface. When hot liquid rock comes to the surface, it cools to solid rock. 7. The geosphere is made of large, solid plates that are always in motion. The motion builds new landforms and causes earthquakes and volcano eruptions. Number 6, rocks are always changing. Wind and water break rock down into smaller pieces and carry pieces of rock to other places. These small pieces of rock, called sediment, can get pressed together to make larger rocks. Sometimes the imprint of living things remains as a fossil. Fossils are evidence of once living things preserved in rock. 5. Rocks exposed to enough heat and pressure can change into a new type of rock. Number 4. The shape of the land determines how and where the water flows. A watershed is the area of land that flows into a river system. The location and shape of mountains determine the boundaries between watersheds. Number 3, humans depend on the geosphere in order to live. We need solid ground to walk on. We dig into the earth for natural resources we use, like coal, oil, and natural gas. We also change the geosphere by building roads and canals to suit our needs. Number 2, geologists study the earth. Rocks are their evidence of what has happened on Earth and what Earth is made of. Number 1, studying the Earth's shape helps people make maps and navigate using global positioning systems. All right, now that was probably fast for a lot of you. So what you can do right now is you can press pause and write down some of the things you remember. You can rewind and look at and listen to again number 10 through number 1. I think you should be able to write down at least 5 important things that you heard about the geosphere. All right, when you're ready to go on to the next one, press play. Okay, so now you guys are ready to hear about the hydrosphere, which you already know a lot about. Number 10, the hydrosphere is all the water on, above, and below the Earth's surface. Earth's water exists in 3 forms. Liquid water is in lakes, rivers, oceans, and groundwater. Solid water is in glaciers and ice caps. Gaseous water vapor is up in the sky. Number 9, water is always in motion. It trickles over rocks and streams. Ocean water moves all around the Earth. If you drop a toy that floats in the middle of the ocean, it will take quite a journey. Number 8, water evaporates into the air, but that's hard to see because all the surface water doesn't disappear. Water also falls back to the ground as rain, snow, sleet, and hail. These are the forms of precipitation. Number 7, water covers about 70% of Earth. Earth has been called the big blue marble because the water makes it look that way from space. The amount of water on Earth makes it a unique planet. Number 6, ocean water has a lot of dissolved salt. The salt comes from runoff that rivers carry to the ocean. Number 5, people need water to drink, but only a small amount of the Earth's water is fit to drink. Most of the water is in the ocean, which is salty and frozen in ice caps. Number 4, the Earth does not make new water. The same amount of water has been on the Earth as long as oceans have existed. The same water cycles through the ocean, the air, and the ice. 3, a hydrologist seeks to solve problems related to water. Some problems are how much water is available and the quality of the water because so many people around the world need it. Number 2, people produce electricity from water. Flowing water has the power to produce the energy to turn on the lights. Number 1, humans burning fossil fuels make the rain acidic and releases carbon dioxide. The ocean takes in carbon dioxide. This is playing a role in climate change. And then they show us a picture of Arctic water and ice and a picture of Barack Obama visiting the Hoover Dam power plant. That's one of the examples we learned in fourth grade of how you can use hydropower for electricity. All right. Take this time now to pause. You can go back and listen again to me read about the hydrosphere. I want you to write down at least 5 components or 5 very important parts of the hydrosphere. When you're ready to to go on to the next one, press play. Okay, top 10 reasons the atmosphere will blow your mind. Number 10, the atmosphere is a thin layer of gases around the Earth. It goes 10,000 kilometers or 6,000 miles above Earth. The atmosphere includes oxygen that humans and animals need to breathe. Number 9, there is no true line between the atmosphere and outer space. The gases get thin high above the Earth, where the atmosphere blends into outer space. Number 8, ozone is a key part of the atmosphere. Ozone is a gas that blocks radiation from the sun that can harm people. Number 7, the atmosphere seals in just enough heat to create a mild climate for people to live on Earth. It also gives us the air we breathe. Number 6, air is always moving in the atmosphere. Warm air rises and cool air sinks. The movement creates pressure changes that make the wind blow. Number 5, the lowest part of the atmosphere is where airplanes fly, where we see the clouds, and where our weather happens. Number 4, satellites orbit Earth in the highest part of the atmosphere. Number 3, meteorologists study what happens in the atmosphere that makes our daily weather. They don't study meteors. They tell us what to expect outside, such as sunny skies or rain. Number 2, people used chemicals in things such as spray cans that broke down ozone. That meant more solar radiation reached Earth. The chemicals are not used now. Scientists believe that phasing out the chemicals is repairing the ozone layer. Number 1, humans have added more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere by doing things like driving cars. The gases need to be balanced to keep the Earth's temperature mild. The extra carbon dioxide is the leading cause of Earth's changing climate. And here's a picture of the ozone hole over Antarctica. This left picture shows it in September 2004, and this picture shows it in October 2014. And so we actually have made this hole smaller by being more careful and protecting our environment. Okay, so that's everything about the atmosphere. So now you can press pause and you can write down at least 5 important components or important parts about the atmosphere. You can rewind and listen again and write down 5 things that you found out about the atmosphere that are very important parts. When you're ready to go on to the biosphere, press play. All right, welcome back for the last sphere. The biosphere is about all the living things. People, plants, and animals make up the biosphere. Top 10 reasons the biosphere is lively. 10, the biosphere is all of the life on Earth. It includes large plants and animals, humans, small insects, and bacteria. The biosphere goes under the ground, under the water, and up to the sky. Tree roots are alive. The oceans have a lot of plants and animals. Birds and insects fly above the surface. Number 8, Earth is the only place in the solar system where life is known to exist. Other planets do not have the natural resources to support life. Number 7, the earliest life forms were small organisms similar to bacteria. Number 6, The kinds of living things in the biosphere have changed over time. The animals we call dinosaurs are not alive now. Humans were not alive when the dinosaurs were. Number 5, there used to be giant forms of a lot of animals we know of today. These animals lived in the same time period as the early humans, and humans hunted them. Number 4, living things have unique needs. All living things need food. They also need the right place to live. That can be in warm or cool temperatures, or in water, or on dry land. Number 3, ecology is known as the science of the biosphere. It's the study of how living things relate to one another and the world around them. Number 2, humans have grown the population of our species by farming the land and storing grains. The growing population needs more resources, such as water, food, and housing. When humans use more land, there is less land for plants and other animals. Number 1, humans have taken an active role to protect plants and animals and save species from disappearing. Here's some pictures. People are working to save polar bears' Arctic habitat as temperatures change. And people are establishing protected areas for tigers to live where they can't be hunted. Now, at this point, you can press pause and you can write down 5 important parts of the biosphere. You can go back and listen again and look for that information if you don't remember it. When you're ready to go on, press play. All right, welcome back. So your note paper should be pretty full right now. I'm going to show you an example of what it might look like. So your paper might look something like this. In the atmosphere, you might have written down air, gases, ozone, wind, carbon dioxide, oxygen. For the biosphere, you might have written down things like living things, plants, animals, insects, bacteria, birds, dinosaurs, humans. For the geosphere, you may have written rocks, soil, minerals, ocean floor, liquid rock, large plates. For the hydrosphere, you may have written water, lakes, rivers, oceans, groundwater, glaciers, water vapor. This doesn't mean that this is the correct answer if you have other things written. This is just an example of an Earth system chart. So your paper probably has some of the same things as this. It may have more. It may have some different things. If there's anything that you want to add to your note paper right now that you missed, but you were like, wow, I do really want to include that, you can press pause and add that right now. When you're ready, come back and press play. All right, so now your note paper is done. And this lesson is almost done. What you're going to do now is I'm going to have you hand in something that I can see. You'll keep your note paper for yourself, but I do want you to click on the words Lisa Sherman posted an assignment and go to the Google Docs that says Earth's 4 spheres. Type in your name and your teacher's name. And then I just want you to define each of the following terms. What is each of the spheres made up? So these really can be 1-word answers or 2-word answers. Hydrosphere, you guys should know, is water and ice. Geosphere, write down what it is. Atmosphere, that's 1 word, write down what it is. Biosphere, write down what it is. And you can give me more detail if you want to, but I'm just looking to make sure you understand what each of the spheres are. Now, this is a bonus question, which I know a lot of you are going to want to answer. I know it's a higher level thinking question, and so I put it as an optional bonus. I would love it if all of you tried it. Can you think of an example of when 2 or more of the spheres interact with each other? For example, here's one I came up with. A farmer grows crops of corn. So then I explained what I meant by that. So in that example of a farmer growing crops of corn, the water is sprayed on the corn, and that's from the hydrosphere. The corn and the farmer are living, so they're part of the biosphere. The soil is the geosphere, and the air is the atmosphere. The water from the hydrosphere travels through the soil, which is part of the geosphere, where it is absorbed by the corn's roots, which is part of the biosphere. So that's kind of how I linked all of those together. See if you can come up with an example. And you might come up with an example that only connects two of the spheres or three of the spheres. And some of you might come up with something that connects all four of the spheres. The important thing is to remember is that even though we have these four different parts, these four spheres, they are constantly overlapping and interacting with each other. One could not survive without the other and make up our planet Earth. So they're all related, and that's an important thing to take away from this. All right, I can't wait to see your answers, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And once you finish, you can turn this in. And today, you don't really have to mark it as done because once you turn this Google Docs in, it'll automatically be marked as done.